Welcome to JTS. This tutorial will show you how to manually enter maintenance mode for replacing the rear brakes. It will work on most Audis and VWs and will save you purchasing a diagnostic computer. Now the brakes are removed, this is the part where we need to manually rewind the electronic piston. So there's two bolts either side. The size is Torx and it's T30. Both bolts are completely rusted in there, so make sure you use a lot of maintenance spray or lube. Worst case, you don't want them snapping off. And when you are spraying the lube, make sure you don't get it in the actual plastic of the electronic part of the motor. Now both bolts are out of the electronic park brake. You can gently ease the actual motor off with a screwdriver. Just being careful as there's a little rubber seal inside. There's the motor, and there is one of the snap studs I've actually managed to snap off as the maintenance spray didn't quite cut it for me. So this is the electronic park brake motor, and them Torx splines actually fit into the back of the caliper. So yeah, make sure they are aligned when they're put back in. In this next step, you'll see I'm using a Torx part T40 in the back of the caliper. In a clockwise motion, keep turning until that goes completely solid. The most common way to do this procedure is to use diagnostic kit. You would open maintenance mode on the parking brake system, and this will electronically wind the piston back, but manually this is the cheapest and best alternative. Now the parking brake mechanism is fully set in a clockwise position, you can now use the brake rewind tool to push back the piston. Once the brake rewind tool is locked into place, slowly turn clockwise with the handle and that will push back the piston. Make sure the piston boot is seated correctly and there's no rips or tears. The next step is to remove the brake pads and the brake carrier using these two 18mm bolts. Once the carrier is off, just make sure both sliders on the carrier are unseized. Remove the brake disc bolt using a T30 Torx part. Corrosion and rust buildup cause the disc to get stuck to the hub, so use a big hammer to break the taper on the disc. Don't be afraid to hit it quite hard. Use a hub scrubber on the end of an impact gun to clean up the surface of the hub. This part of the job is commonly forgotten or misplaced by mechanics. It's important to clean the surface of the hub as the disc fits onto the hub. If there's any rust buildup behind the disc, it can cause brake judder, especially on the fronts. Reassemble the new discs and pads on the carrier and lightly coat the pads with some copper grease. Before reassembling the electric parking brake motor to the piston, make sure the surface is clean and the rubber seal is in tight. Double check that the splines with the T40 Torx piece are fully turned clockwise before you reassemble the electronic park brake motor to the piston. Once aligned, carefully screw the two T30 Torx pieces back into the piston. As you can see, this one on the bottom I've had to replace with a nut and bolt. I did actually snap that one, so I drilled it through as a modified version. Make sure the electronic parking brake plug clicks into place, and also don't forget to use new bolts for your brake calipers. Complete this procedure both sides on the rear axle and put both wheels on. Now for the final step. Now the vehicle's on the floor and the brakes have been done, head into the driver's side, switch ignition on and apply the handbrake. By applying the handbrake, the electronic motor will wind the pistons out and they will find their new position. Now the handbrake is applied, it has found its new position, jump back in and recycle into the off position. For any questions, advice or tips, please comment down below. Thanks for watching with JTS.